G'day and welcome to OCS 101 Create for the Object Cloner System, brought to you by ge-NeticS. What I'll be going over in this video tutorial is the backup and restore features of the OCS and how to back your objects up into text and save it onto your computer, and how to organize that data into note cards ready to place into your terminal and restore. Okay, and I'm going to be showing you this with my ge-NeticS main store, which is seven objects, separate objects, consisting of about 130 prims in total, to show you that you can actually back up more than one object together and restore it back where the OCS will recreate it all together, so a full building. Now obviously you can do it with one object or as many objects as you want at a time. Alright, so first I'm going to bring up my terminal here. I've already set it up so I can just show you, and I'm going to choose Create. Alright, so the first thing I can do is I'm going to select Backup, obviously. Alright, now as with most of the features, the terminal will tell you in hover text sort of what you can do step by step as well, what you need to do. So we first need to place our target script into the content of each object we want to back up. So if you don't already have the target script, you can get that from the terminal just by selecting script from the menu here, and it'll give it to you. I already have it in my inventory, so I'm just going to ignore this menu for now and bring up my inventory, and I'm going to edit each of these objects and just drag the target script into that content here. And there you go, that should be in all 7 of them now. And I can just bring up my menu again there, touching the terminal, and I'm just going to start. Okay, now it'll scan for the objects you want to back up, and it will give you a menu to continue to the first one. Right, so you want to bring up your local chat. Now I can't stress this enough, you must turn translators off because if you don't, it'll mess up the data and it might not be readable. So you really need to turn any translators that you have off, and that also make sure this includes the one that you can get in local chat, which is the Google Chat Translator, what have you. Okay, so now to do for that first object, I'm going to continue. It will dump the first line of data. You want to take your cursor, just left mouse click and hold for that first line under where specified there, and hold the mouse button down, and this way as it dumps the data you're going to be selecting it all with your mouse there. So it gives you about 10 seconds before it dumps the rest, so you have time to get your cursor in there. As you can see, quite a bit of data goes into an actual link set when you look at what is involved. Alright, so once all that data is done, and you just bring it up here, your cursor up to the end of the line above where it's specified, right click and copy. Okay, now we're not going to go to the next object yet. I'm going to bring up a folder I created on my computer in my documents. It's just for my backup files, and I'm going to right click and I'm just going to go new text document. Okay, and I'm just going to call this zED main store 1 because we got multiple objects. Okay, going to open this up. Alright, and then just paste that data in there. Okay, and we want to go to File, Save As, and we want to change this to UTF-8, okay, Unicode coding for our encoding, and we can just say save, ask if we want to replace it, say yes, okay, and that has now saved. I can close that down, okay, and then I can continue on with the next object, so I just say next, okay. It'll dump the first part again for the next one, and you just do the same thing. You take your mouse cursor in there, you go down like so, holding that mouse button down while it copies, highlighting them. Alright, so and once all this data is dumped, we basically do the same thing, and I'll show you that. So you got all that data, right click and copy, then I'm going to go back into that folder, but I'm going to create another one. This one I'm going to call it zED main store 2. Okay, and open that up and paste. Alright, and same deal, go save as and change the encoding to Unicode. Okay, and save UTF-8, yes, and that's it. And you keep doing that until you've got all your objects done. So I'm just going to skip ahead now until I get to the last one, and we'll continue on from there. Okay, so now that I got all of that data placed into text files on my computer, I can continue on, and I'm going to show you how to put them into note cards in Word to restore from the terminal. Okay, so I've already removed this store here so that it can be restored. Okay, and you'll see that here in my folder on my computer I've got all the 7 text documents for each of the parts. Okay, so what we want to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to open up my first one. Right, you just want to right click and then go select all. Okay, and then right click again and go copy. Alright, and I can go back into Second Life here and go into my inventory. Now I've created a folder here just for my backup note cards here. Just right click and go new note card, give it a name relating to it, so I'm just going to call it, you know, the zED main store. Now the difference here, what else you have to do here is you need to give it an object number and a part number as well. Okay, so I go space and 1 or what have you, and I'm just going to call it zED main store 1 because this is for the first object, but then I need to go dash and give it its part number, so 1. Alright, the reason for this is that there's a limit to how much data can go into a single note card, and it might not always fit. So we've got the part number, so if you have to place for a single object into multiple note cards, then you start with 1. Alright, so we got here main store 1-1. Just go into the note card here and paste. Now all of that data fit, luckily, so I can just now go save with that. Okay, and I'll close that down, and then I can move on to the next one, so go to zED main store 2. Now I'll just demonstrate here, even though all this data should fit into a single note card, I'm going to demonstrate what you do when you need more than one. Okay, so I'm just going to select from this top here, and I'm just going to go down a few of the prims. Alright, I'm just going to go here to right click and copy, And just imagine that this is a lot of data. Okay, and I'm going to go back here and I'm going to create a new note card again. Give it the same name, zED main store, but obviously this time it's object 2 dash part 1. Okay, and then right click and paste. Okay, imagine that's a full note card, no more data can fit into it. Okay, and I would save that. Okay, and I could close that down. Then I go back into that same file and I would then select from the next line and I could select to the last more and go copy, and I would create another new note card, again the same name, still, now this is still for object 2, so I would still go 2 dash, but obviously it's the second note card of data for it, so then I go part 2. Alright, and that's how that works, and I would go in and then paste that data and save, like so. And you can keep doing this no matter how many note cards you need for a single object, and that's how you separate with the names. Okay, so you would continue to do that until you've done all of your objects there, and I'm actually just going to skip ahead again and do these so you don't have to wait around, and then we'll continue off from there and show you how to get it into the terminal and actually restore it. Alright, now I've got all my data into their note cards ready to restore the ge-NeticS main store. So what I got to do now is I just right click and edit the terminal. Okay, and in the contents here I'm just going to shift and hold to select all of these, and I'm going to drag it into the contents. Alright, then I just touch the terminal for the menu, go into create, and I would select restore. The terminal will then analyze the data of the note cards, and it will give you a list of each of the objects you want. So you can have more than the one object group in the terminal, and it will give you a list of all of them. But since we only got the zED main store in there, it then tells us, okay, it's got 7 objects and 131 prims in total. Okay, so I'm just going to select 1 there. Then I'll ask if I want to restore it locally or globally, and the difference is locally we'll restore it in relation to where it was when you backed it up to the terminal, so it should go in front of the terminal. Globally is relative to the region, so no matter where your objects were in region coordinates for the sim, that's where it will back it up to, no matter where the terminal is positioned. Okay, assuming of course that you actually have building rights on the land that it's restoring at. Okay, otherwise it won't let you. Okay, so I'm just going to choose locally. Okay, and it'll then ask you, it'll tell you you're about to locally restore your object or what have you. Do you want to continue? Then you would just say okay, yes or no if you want to change your mind, and then it will start to restore your objects. It will give you an estimated progress, so you can get an idea and actually see that it's working. You'll see you've got the cloner orb over there. It's reading the data of the note cards so that it can recreate the objects from nothing. There you go, there's our first object there, and you'll see it's nice and fast. Obviously, depending on how many prims there are per object that you're restoring will determine how long it's going to take. The more prims, the more complex they are, the longer it will take. But it's still fast regardless, much faster than having to rebuild it all yourself again. And there you go, there's the second one already. Nice and quick. Right, and you'll see the progress there. Alright, because it's like 7 objects, 131 prims there, it'll probably take around about 4 or 5 minutes maybe to rebuild the whole store building. Alright, so it's going there, it's about 35% complete, and there you go, you got 3 objects out already, and as you can see it's actually building them in to their original position relative to the terminal, just the way I wanted it. Reconstructing the whole building so I don't have to try and place the objects back into their spots, and I guess I can just let this go and you can see it actually rebuild the whole thing. What I'll do is I will skip forward and you can see the final result. Alright, so now it's there working on the final object, and it's almost finished creating my whole store here in just a matter of minutes. So I can be sure that no matter what happens, I've always got my objects backed up on my computer there, and I can have them restored and built back in world again if ever needed, if they're lost or what have you. There you go. When it's finished, I get another menu asking me whether I want to finalize or delete. Delete obviously would then delete the restored objects. Finalize will say okay, I want to keep them. It will remove the object scripts that are left in there at the moment. So I just go finalize, and there you go. I've got my store back restored in world from data that I had saved on my computer. And if you want to be extra safe, you can even back that data from your computer up on an external hard drive or something as well, and you can be sure that you'll never lose your objects. Okay, great, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.